When it comes to JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, it is truly a generational shapeshifter. From the Victorian tragedy of Phantom Blood to the high stakes, insanity that is Part 2, and the global adventure to save one's mother. Stardust Crusaders. The first 3 parts are, an epic. They didn't just build a fan base, they built a mythos. They built everything. These 3 parts can never be replicated again. But lately, there's, of course, everyone wants to hum on back. We got it with Spin. Or people just want the Adventure Part 3 back. Yes, both are incredibly great points, but unfortunately, we're never going to have those again. Here's the hard truth. Parts 1 through 3 were basically an experimental phase of Araki. They built Araki's madness. They built everything, but it was just a specific economy part. It was a certain part that released in the economy of Japan. You can never go back to the 80s, 90s, early 2000s with these 3 parts. And unfortunately, the Daily Productions will never have that, oh yeah, this is Joseph Joestar. What does he do? He does funny, cool things. But today we're breaking down essentially the beginning, the original trilogy of JoJo's, and why it can never happen again. I'm your host, Hammer 101. Like, share, subscribe, do like YouTube stuff, and let's get right into it. To understand why Part 1 can never be replicated, you have to understand the 1980s, the hyper-masculine era, when Akira started the big body meta was king. Characters had to be mountains of muscle to be taken seriously. Phantom Blood and Battle Tendency were Akira's homage to the style. Basically the Fist of the North Star. But you can see him fighting against it. He wanted to draw fashion and poses, not just biceps and, blocky characters, if you know what I'm saying. Today the industry has moved towards lean and mean or, fashion statement aesthetics. A modern studio wouldn't greenlight a protagonist who looks like a refrigerator unless it was a parody. Parts 1 and 2 represent a bridge between the macho 80s and the fashion 90s. The hybrid style is realistic and a relic of a bygone cultural tradition, basically. Now let's talk about the power system. Hamon was truly brilliant. Magic, sunlight, energy. But it was limited, unfortunately. Hamon is sort of a level up system. You breathe harder, you get stronger, you learn more cool abilities. Classic, but eventually hits a glass ceiling that can't be broken by it. So, in Part 3, Araki revolutionized JoJo's. He introduced a concept and ability called stands, which is basically manifestations of a fighting soul. But they were simple. Star Platinum punches things hard. Magician Red, he burns things. Common and Hermit Purple, we don't know what it really does. It's either Spider-Man, it's either a deviation method, it's either a Hamon amplifier. It's just whatever Joseph needs it to be, it is. But Araki can never go back to simple powers because he's already broken the brain of his audience. After Stone Ocean or, Steel Ball Run, a fight about who could punch harder feels empty. You've seen it multiple times. Hell, even in Part 1 and Part 2, Hamon could be said who punches harder. Hamon was the sun, stands of the shadow. You can't go back to the sun once you've learned to play in the dark, basically. So, here we are, 2026. What's next? We don't know. But those first 3 parts of Hamon and stands, Araki was cooking. Now, Stardust Crusaders is a whopping 48 episodes long for a single season, basically. Today's seasonal anime climate, that is a production nightmare. Having to do, 2 whole seasons in 1 season, and basically come up with new ideas, coming up with, new openings, new endings, new everything. Stardust Crusaders truly was a very experimental piece. Most modern hits get up to about 12 or 24 episodes. A road trip story like Part 3 requires a massive commitment of time, money, energy, and just overall, brain power. That production committee, well, they would have terrified modern production committees. Been like, you working on this? Do you hate yourself or something? Like, damn. Basically. But biggest problem with part 3 that we all know and love is the monster of the week, or the monster of the episode, or monster of the episode arcs. Format which worked in the 90s, but right now in the modern anime sphere it just doesn't work out at all. If a new IP tried to spend 30 episodes on minor villains before redirecting itself to the main one, it would be cancelled, dropped, or destroyed and trashed online. Audience would be like, oh yeah, this shit ass. By audience, well, we know that right now we're used to the JJK aesthetic. We could take a few, but we cannot take many. That's what's going on in today's anime climate. Now, parts 1 through 3 were written when Araki was essentially vibing with Western culture with zero oversight and input. The sheer density of musical references in parts 1 through 3 is a legal headache. While the anime worked around it, the freedom Araki had to, well, bake Prince and Dio into the DNA of the story is harder to navigate in a global market. The early parts are dark. The fate of Danny the dog, or the sheer brutality of the Pillar Man, push boundaries that modern, sanitized shonen often avoids. Replicating that specific weirdness often feels forced rather than organic. Now, parts 1 through 3 are the JoJo's Old Testament. They are fundamentally chunky, legendary, and completely unrepeatable. You can't go back because Araki himself has evolved. To ask for another part 3 is to ask an artist to unlearn 30 years of craft. You should cherish the early parts for what they are. Bizarre, muscular, breath-filled fever dream that paved the way for everything we love today. But do you think it could be repeated? I'm like, could you reinvent the foundation you're already built upon? Could you maybe rework it to be a new but still the same? We don't know. But we know that part 4 was good. We know part 5 was great. Part 6 was basically one of the most interesting experimental phases of Araki, in my opinion, because it felt different. It's basically a prison break. Yes, we don't have the mafia drama part 5, which could have have droplets of, well, the previous parts. The wackiness of part 4 is literally, well, the wackiness of 1 through 3. 3 is just, well, a global adventure. Part 2 is, truly bizarre. And part 1 is the foundation upon everything that Araki has built. But what do you guys think? Do you think it could be replicated, or do you want the past to remain in the past? Let me know in the comment section down below. The journey to Egypt only happens once, and maybe that's why it was so special. I'm your host, Anime 101. Like, share, subscribe to all good YouTube stuff. Signing out. See you guys next time.